here are the ingredients. You have pine nuts, 2 Meyer lemons with zest, some grated cheese, a piece of garlic and some walnuts, olive oil, salt, mint, basil. I'll show you what to do with the basil now. You're gonna take the basil, you're gonna put it in there. Take it to the sink, and I'm just gonna wash it. Right, so first you're gonna put a piece of garlic in there and just gonna, you just start chopping it. Now that it's all chopped up, I have the garlic chopped up, and I'm gonna take these nuts and I'm gonna put about a handful and maybe a few more. Okay. Now here is your basil. We're gonna wash this. This is it after washed. Now we're gonna have to dry this. So get your towel. You can put it back in here. So you just throw out the big stems that comes off of. Lay this out flat like this. Take this and just dump it out on there. Just put it here and just pat it dry. Don't squeeze it too hard that the basil bruises. So if you're squeezing very hard like this, you may see the basil, it's like starting to bruise and there might be dark spots. Try not to do that. It's okay if you do though. It doesn't matter. But just try not to, that's just a reference of you squeezing too hard. So it's okay if there's a little bit, like just like a little pieces of rocks, but don't squeeze harder than that. And just continue to dry it. Here we have some basil. Now with the basil, we're just gonna have to pick off the stems. Now, if you have a piece of basil and it just has like, if you just have a piece of basil and it just has like a little piece of stem like that, it's okay, but just try to get it right there. Try to get as little stem as possible. So the way that you should do that is you grab your piece and all you have to do is just take the basil. So for starters, you see this big stem? You're just gonna rip all the pieces off that big stem. Now you just have the big stem in these pieces. And then if you see any other big stems, like this one, just rip it off like that. And now you just have some basils. And then if you see some stems sticking out, like this one, you can take them off, and then now you have pretty much stemless basil, except for one of these. But most of them are stemless, and that's how you can quickly take off the stems. I'm gonna stem. So I have the basil, it's all done. And now you're gonna take your basil. You're not gonna put all of it, just a little bit at a time, maybe like a small handful. And you just gonna put it in there. I'm gonna put it. Gonna start chopping. Oh, here's a good time to mention that you're gonna need a spoon. So you should grab a spoon. Just a spoon about that big, it's fine. Like a teaspoon. And you're just gonna scrape down on these corners so that it's actually where the blades can cut. Okay, so I scraped down the edges. Now I have some more. Now so just grab some more basil, put it in there, and chop. And just repeat that process until you have, I'll show you how much. Until you think it looks good, I'll show you what looks good. Right? So this is what it should look like. In my case, I ended up using all of my basil. Now just like, see if you can just like scrape it up from in there. Just mix it in a little bit. If any of the things like the nuts were at the bottom. Just mix it a little bit. And now what we're gonna do is we have some lemon zest here. And just take like a big pinch, probably like that, and just put it in. Now you have some in there. And take a lemon. Put it on your cutting board. And just cut it in half. Now with your lemon, if you have a lemon juicer, you should use that. Currently, mine is dirty. Or I found the lemon juicer. So you're gonna take your lemon juicer. You're gonna take the lemon. You don't need a lemon juicer. It's just easier. And well, it just makes sure the seeds don't get in. Now get a cup kind of like this, like a ramekin, but this one's glass. This is a ramekin. I recommend ramekins because they're tough, but if you have something like this or a ramekin, it's clean. I just washed it, and you're gonna squeeze the lemon in there. I just squeezed my lemon juice in here. The reason why I have 2 lemons and not just one, make sure these are my lemons, just a heads up, is because I need a lot of lemon zest and I may need more lemon juice. It depends on how it ends up turning out later. So you're just gonna pour just like a little bit in there, like that, and just blend it. So I blended in the lemon into here and the lemon zest like I showed you. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go back and see, and you're going to try it. I think it's very strong. It has a very basil-y flavor. So I'm going to add a little more nuts, maybe like another, like half a handful. And you're just going to blend those in. The nuts that I said to blend in, that's only if you think it needs more nuts. But if you think it needs more lemon, then you add more lemon. Or if you think it needs more garlic, then you add more garlic. If you think it needs more basil, you add more basil. So here's just another reminder. You have to scrape down those edges. Alright. And now also use the grind setting just to mix it up. Okay. It's pretty much blended. You don't have to overdo it. It's gonna get blended more. So you don't want to blend until it looks like a smooth paste because it's not gonna happen. So look in here. Now I'm gonna try it. And maybe a few more nuts. And that's good. I'm gonna say that. Okay. Now I've added everything I think I need. Now if you think, oh, you've just ruined it, it tastes horrible, too lemony and too basil-y, fear not, because you have cheese and olive oil to cover up this lemony or basil-y or too walnutty flavor. Now, even if you don't think that it's ruined, you still should add some cheese. Maybe about like a little bit. I added some cheese. Now, when I said you should add cheese, I really mean you have to add cheese. Now take your oil and just add just like a little bit, like a little drizzle. Now blend that. So you're also gonna want to wash your mint and do the same thing you did with the basil. Okay, so I just tried this, it's pretty good. Now what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna add maybe a little more olive oil and a pinch of cheese. And just repeat that process until it's nice and creamy. Right, so now that you've done that, before you do that, I thought mine needed a little bit more of this lemon zest, so I added a pinch more. Sure. Alright, so it's nice and creamy. I blended that in. Now I'm just gonna put in a nice amount of mint, some olive oil, just a drizzle, some cheese, alright, just a reminder, also make sure your hands are clean, so that's another thing, and just blend this together. And the sauce is coming together, it's nice and it's creamy. Now I'm just going to taste a bit of this stuff. Okay, it could be creamier. Now it's coming together, and I think it needs more volume. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just add a little more basil, and I do have pine nuts, and these are not full in the pasta, but I'm just gonna add a few in here. These are mainly, I'm gonna show you how to toast these and put them on top. Now add some cheese and some oil. And maybe a little bit of that lemon zest. And I'm gonna blend that together. Cool. Alright, so now we have I put a little more nuts, a little more cheese, a little olive oil, a little more lemon juice. And maybe yours doesn't need this, because maybe yours, you already added more cheese and nuts than I told you to add. But this is what I'm doing now, so I'm gonna blend. So I added some more olive oil, nuts. I added a little more olive oil than I showed. Now I'm adding a little bit of that lemon zest. Also, make sure say thank you to my sous chef, Barry. Now I'm just gonna blend this. It should look creamy, kind of like that. And make sure you give it a taste test. So you have your spoon, just give it a little test. It looks creamy. I think it needs to be more pasty. It's a little bit watery. So I'm going to try to add some more cheese. I blended in that cheese. There is a few times in this video where off camera I might have added a little more cheese than I showed you. And here's an example. Now I'm going to add a little pinch of salt. I added just a little bit of salt. About as much as just like, about like this much, but if it was salt, very little, maybe even less than that. You can see it right there. I'm gonna blend that in. All right. So here's the final result. It's nice and creamy. See, very nice. Make sure you don't make it too watery. It's nice and creamy. Has to be. And now I'm going to move on to the best part. I'm just toasting my pine nuts. Alright, so I'm putting it on 3. And I have this, and I have my pine nuts. Don't eat them. I know they look good. And they taste good. But you have to toast them, so you don't want to waste all your pine nuts. And just make sure your cooking surface is clean. This is what we're going to do. So while I'm waiting for that to heat up, here's just a few tips. I suggest for this, you should get a tagliatelle, which is right here. I got it from Cipriani. This one is fresh, so it's only going to take 3 to 4 minutes. When you're cooking it, make sure you have a big pot, not a tiny one, and don't break the pasta. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the pasta in the pot, and you're just going to toss the sauce onto the pasta after you emptied the pot of its water, but save a little bit of water because you're going to add that into here. So my stove is ready for the pine nuts. I'm just going to put some of these in. Alright, and just let these sit. Okay, so you don't need anything. You're just going to make sure the outside is to go in bad. So after maybe a little bit, 2 minutes to 3 minutes of these just sitting on this side, you're gonna just shake it so that they flip, so that they don't get too brown inside. Now the point of this is to just bring out the flavor. It's really not that much. You can flip them. Just make sure you don't flip them too often so that they don't have time to cook. But just a minute or 2 on each side. And you just let them sit there for, like I said, a minute or 2, 3 minutes. Until you think it's been long enough, and you just shake this and they flip, and then you can just do that. It will take about 8 minutes on 3. I'm gonna see. Well, I hope it's 8 minutes because that's what I told you. But just be patient with these. And make sure you watch your stove. So don't leave this cooking area. I've been toasting these for a little bit now. And another sign that your nuts are ready is when you start getting when you have a lot of the nut fragrance coming up from above the pan. Like when you can smell these and they're strong coming from them, that means they're toasting nicely. So other than the color, you're also going to be able to smell when they're ready. And just be patient. I said it might be 7 or 8 minutes, but it could be longer. It just depends on how hot your pan was when you started, how often you're flipping them, how good your oven is, and it just depends. These are almost ready nuts. You can see how they've browned a little bit, and if you smell them, you're going to have that strong, very strong pine nut smell. You can see a few of these, they're darker, and they're have those little brown tint colors to them. It's kind of hard to show you, but just, yeah, like that one, it's kind of tinted. You see, they're kind of more golden than they were earlier. That's another sign that they're almost ready. I think these are pretty much done, and I'm gonna take these off. Right. I have my toasted pine nuts. You shouldn't touch these right away because they're probably hot. And I'm gonna show you how to cook the pasta really well, and then put the sauce on it with the pine nuts and serve it. Now you're gonna take a big pot of water like this, and you're just gonna fill it up with water. Okay. Now go to your stove and just turn this up to high. When the water is in the thing. Now you're gonna have to grate some parm to put on top. So now is when you're gonna turn it on. I was just showing what to do. Put on high. You have your water. And once this water starts boiling, get your salt and you're gonna put it in there. I'm just gonna skip to when I'm gonna put that salt in your water. Your water should be about to this big. You're gonna only do 3 or 4 minutes. And remember, don't forget to salt your water. I'm gonna show how much to do this. Also, on top of this, on top of your pot that's just here, you should add this, which is a grate, so that you just pick this up over the sink, and then all the pasta just gets dried for you. See, I put it in and just put this slightly like that so that you can pick this up without touching this, because this might be hot also. Just don't touch this, this is hot. It might get burned. Okay, so now this is at a boil. Can you just put the salt? Just show how much. Alright. So about that much salt, so that fits in the cup of your hand. Maybe a little more, actually. So about 2 filled up of the cup of your hand into here. Maybe a little bit more, but a lot of it. So salty as the sea, and that should be ready. Now, I've added the pasta. So the way this is going to work, since this is a tall pasta, the bottom, it's going to soften, and then these top pieces are going to fall in. Alright? And now that bottom, you're going to grab some metal. You're just going to grab maybe a wooden spoon, or if you have these long metal tongs, kind of, you can basically just make them fall in like that. So now what you're gonna do is you're just gonna take a cup. I mixed in the pasta a little bit more with those tongs. For you, you can just use a wooden spoon. Just get some pasta water. Okay, so now I just have my pasta water in here, and that's good. So you're just gonna have this pasta water, and if you have anything with these, this is what I'm talking about. You just use a wooden spoon, but you just go in there and you just mix them a little bit. Be gentle, or you might break your pasta, like this. So now you're gonna lift up the pasta bottle. I'm gonna drain all the water back into there. Now in here is all the pasta. Now, if you don't have that, what you would end up doing is you would have to pour it into some. At the beginning of this video, I showed a yellow thing that I used to wash the basil in that had holes at the bottom. You can use something like that to get the pasta water out if you don't have one of these. Okay. Can you hold this so I can show?
All right, you want to?
I'm just gonna be okay. So now what we're gonna do is I have the pasta emptied, and I'm gonna grab the sauce. I have a spoon, and I'm gonna scoop out the sauce into here.
Okay.
And now I have this. I have all of my sauce in there. And you're just gonna mix it around. Gonna add a little bit of pasta water. You're just gonna mix this around. Oh, you might want to add a little bit of olive oil with that pasta water and in here, and just mix that around with the wooden spoon also. And now, to put this on one, just to warm up the bottom of the pan. Okay, so that's being mixed for me with the sous chef Barry. So we have our plates here, and I'm going to show you how to serve this. I have all the portions. One of us didn't want mint. And then for the rest, I have mint, and some pine nuts. I measured these out so it's around the same for everybody. So everybody gets the same amount of toppings. These are toasted pine nuts, and I put some mint in here just for the tops. Now all the sauce is mixed in. You're gonna grab it with these metal things, or if you have wooden spoons, you can do it with that too. But it's gonna be harder with the metal spoon. Now that the pasta's been served, you're just gonna put it in here. You're gonna scoop it, and you can just spin these a little bit so that's nice and neat. And you're gonna take that. Then here's the mint. You're just gonna, we'll do the mint after these pine nuts. Now with the spoon, we're just gonna grab these pine nuts and we're just gonna sprinkle them on top. And so now I put the mint and pine nuts on in a nice pattern. And then after, you can ask your guests how much cheese they would like. You can grab the cheese. And you're just gonna sprinkle that on top if they want cheese. And make sure before you do this, you had a nice big bowl of cheese so that you can just do that easily. Everything's set up. And here it is, the finished result. And now I'm gonna plate the rest of these that I have. Here's a sous chef again, and this is the video on how to make my walnut pesto. Here is the pasta.